He began his Marine Corps career on September 22nd, 1983 as a field radio operator. He also earned the additional military occupational specialty of Reconnaissance Marine. During his 28 years of Marine Corps service, Sergeant Major Pickering has been assigned and/or deployed to Camp Pendleton, California, Korea, the Philippines, Okinawa, Japan, Lathrop, California, and Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii, as well as Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. He also served as a Marine Security Guard Detachment Commander in London, England, San Jose, Costa Rica, and Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. He later returned as the company first sergeant for Alpha Company in Frankfurt, Germany, Marine Corps Embassy Security Battalion. He also participated in combat operations in Iraq as a member of Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, and again to Iraq on 2 separate occasions in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. In May 2011, Sergeant Major Pickering was assigned to his current duty as the Sergeant Major for Marine Corps Embassy Security Group. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Major Pickering.
Ambassador Andrew, Vice Minister Navarro, friends, family, Marines. It's good to be back in paradise. As Marines in San Jose, Costa Rica have always said, keeping the peace in paradise, I'd rather. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Sergeant Major Ken Pickering, and I'm extremely proud to hold the billet as the Sergeant Major for Marine Corps Embassy Security Group. Your host tonight, the Marines of American Embassy San Jose, Costa Rica, invited me back here tonight to be your guest speaker for tonight's birthday ball celebration. I see some familiar faces here tonight. Many of you already know that I started my MSG duty career right here in San Jose back in 1996. And Costa Rica became my second home when I married Maddie Vargas, who used to work in the commercial service office. My only regret is that she couldn't be here tonight. But she sends muchos besos y abrazos para todos nuestros amigos y amigas. I know somebody's videotaping this, so I hope they got that right. And tonight we celebrate the birth of our beloved Marine Corps that started 236 years ago in a bar, Iraq, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tonight is a night to remember and honor those Marines that have gone before us and that have written our legacy, tradition, and values that we as Marines strive to live up to every day. This proud legacy is what I'd like to talk to you about tonight. You may have heard about Dakota Meyer, a former active duty Marine Corporal who received the Medal of Honor on 15 September of this year for his courageous actions while serving in Afghanistan in 2009. But what I want everyone here to know tonight is that his actions, while courageous on that day, are what all Marines train to do, and more importantly, are expected to do. I want to share a story with you tonight about a Marine, First Lieutenant Nathan Krisoff, who gave the ultimate sacrifice while conducting combat operations against the enemy in Iraq on 9 December 2006. First Lieutenant Krisoff was born and raised in Reno, Nevada. He was commissioned in the Marine Corps in 2004. He was an honest, physically tough, mentally sharp, respected and loved by the men of his team, and I'm proud to say he was a friend of mine. This is the first time I've ever told this story outside of my own family circle. It's hard, but at the same time an easy story to tell because I lived it and I think about it every day. It all started on the morning of 9 December 2006. I was the Battalion Sergeant Major for 3rd Reconnaissance Battalion, and our area of operation was Fallujah, Iraq. That morning was like any other morning as we set out to conduct combat operations just south of Fallujah. We received our convoy brief, we loaded up in our vehicles, and get ready to depart friendly lines. Our convoy consisted of 7 vehicles. I was located in Vehicle 2. First Lieutenant Krisoff was in Vehicle 3. Not shortly after departure, we heard across the radio that an Army convoy had struck an IED on MSR Iron. We knew that road was always dangerous and unpredictable, so anytime you traveled on that road, you had to be especially sharp. Our route that day was supposed to take us down Iron, but due to the Army already having their own troubles on that road, our commanding officer made the decision to cut across the desert. We had taken this alternate route before, so it was familiar to all of us. But I know there was a quiet sigh of relief from everybody that we weren't traveling down Iron that day. Shortly after exiting the hardball, we came to a choke point. This was an 8-foot-high sand berm, and it stretched east and west as far as the eye could see. There's only one area where vehicles can pass through it, and that's why they call it a choke point. I watched Vehicle 1 pass through and disappear on the other side of the berm. Then our vehicle approached. As we passed through the berm with no issues. About 10 seconds later, I heard a loud explosion. As Vehicle 3 was passing through the berm, an IED had exploded on the right side of the vehicle. There were 5 Marines in that vehicle. The driver, Sergeant Edwards, front right, First Lieutenant Mayer, back left, Corporal Pappas, back right, First Lieutenant Krisoff, and in the gun turret was Corporal Benavides. It's important to explain to those of you that don't know what happens when a large explosion occurs in a confined space. It creates an overpressure, similar to a vacuum effect, only in reverse. Well, that overpressure caused Corporal Benavides to pop right out of the gun turret like a cork. Witnesses from Vehicle 4 say they saw the corporal fly 15 feet in the air and land on the ground about 20 feet from his vehicle. As soon as he hit the ground, he got back up on his feet and started to run back towards the vehicle. Meanwhile, First Lieutenant Krisoff gets out of the vehicle, opens the front door, and pulls his friend, an unconscious Lieutenant Mayer, out of the front seat and drags him over to the berm. Lieutenant Krisoff instructs Benavides to watch Lieutenant Mayer as he would go back for Edwards and Pappas. By this time, Sergeant Edwards had fallen out of the vehicle on fire and rolling in the sand. Lieutenant Krisoff immediately started throwing sand on Edwards and patting him out with his own hands. Corporal Benavides then runs over to help drag Edwards to the berm as well. Krisoff goes back to the vehicle for a 3rd time to retrieve Corporal Pappas, who's still in the vehicle and bleeding from the neck and head. Krisoff gets Pappas out of the vehicle and leads him back to the berm as well. So everyone is out of the vehicle and safe. By now the vehicle is in a full blaze and no one can get near the vehicle. And we tried several times. Security was established, medevac helicopters were en route. That evening was the first time I was able to see my Marines. Part of my duties as the battalion sergeant major are to assist the Marines in the grieving process, as well as obtain their sworn statements to account for the incident. So I talked to all the Marines, and they told me the story that I just told you. All accounts from all the Marines were accurate down to the smallest detail except for one thing. Now, I can't explain to you what exactly happened that day, because I don't completely understand it myself. First Lieutenant Nathan Krisoff never exited the vehicle that day. The explosion killed Krisoff on impact. In fact, that's why all the Marines were trying so hard to get back to the vehicle. They had to get Krisoff out. But it was too hot, and it was too dangerous. Ladies and gentlemen, what I do believe is the power, the influence, and the inspiring leadership of one U.S. Marine, First Lieutenant Nathan Krisoff, carried all those men that day out of harm's way. Not physically, but spiritually, Nathan Krisoff lived in each and every part of those men. which caused them all to rally against all odds and push harder to survive.